Alright, so you want to learn how to heal as a Holy Paladin, and if I can't help it, I'm gonna help you. Gonna keep this a little bit brief because my video sizes are ridiculous. So, we're gonna start off by covering the basic spells. You got your Holy Shock, which is your bread and butter. You got your Holy Light, which is the spell you cast when you don't have anything else to do. Flash of Light, only use in emergencies, don't really use that much in PvE. Divine Light, your big ol' honkin' heal, always fun to have. Word of Glory, costs absolutely no mana. Use it whenever you need to churn out a heal. I usually save it for when I have 3 Holy Power, but you can use it at 2, at 1, whatever you need. Triggers no cooldown if you're Holy. Alright, then we've also got some cooldowns for you. We got Divine Plea. If it's glyphed and you should glyph it, you'll get 18% of your total mana over 9 seconds, but it reduces the amount you heal by 50%, so you gotta keep that in mind. Kind of a pain in the ass to pop during a burn phase or whatever. Divine Favor increases your casting haste by 20% and your crit chance by 20%. Very, very powerful when used with Holy Radiance. The haste gives you more ticks on Holy Radiance, and the crit is just disgusting. You got Aura Mastery, which improves the effect of whatever aura you have active. Concentration Aura makes you immune to silence and interrupts. Devotion Aura gives you armor. Resistance gives you double the resist effect. That's the one I usually use. And Red Aura is garbage. Anyways, Avenging Wrath increases all damage and healing by 20% for 20 seconds. You are concerned with the healing bit of that, so pop Wings and you'll have 20% more healing. Holy Radiance you can consider a cooldown since it does have a cooldown. It's going to change in the next patch, but I'll just cover what it is right now. You just push the button and you become a healing stream totem, and you heal targets more effectively if they're standing on top of you further than 8 yards away, and they take reduced healing, so try to use it only if the group is stacked up. Divine Protection is a pretty good cooldown, reduces all your damage taken by 20%. If you're doing something like Neff with electrocutes, you can just reduce the fucking damage that you have to take, and that reduces the damage that you have to heal. Divine Shield is just the I win button of Paladins. You are just immune to whatever the fuck you don't want to take. And then we've also got Guardian of Ancient Kings. While active, the next 5 direct heals, does not affect Holy Radiance, will cause the Guardian to heal the same target for the amount healed by your heal. So basically he'll double your single target, and the heal will also splash over to friendly targets within 10 yards for 10% of the amount healed. So, pretty cool. And all Paladins have access to the hand spells. Freedom, obviously useful if someone needs to do some kiting. Blessing of Protection, it's called Hand of Protection, used to be a blessing, but Hand of Protection makes them immune to physical only, so keep in mind that if a spellcaster's hitting them, that's going to do shit all. Also makes you immune to fall damage. Sacrifice transfers 30% of the damage taken to the caster. Basically, if you put this on a tank, he will take 30% less damage, you will take that damage for him, and that's not a worry for you. You don't take that much damage from that. Yeah, I even use that on Bethlak. Anyways, Hand of Salvation, not so useful since the threat changes. Oh, and of course we've also got the famous Lay on Hands. Heals the target for your maximum health. So right now I have 136k, so it would heal a target for 136k. If you've got it glyphed, you'll also regain 10% of your maximum mana when you use this spell. Very, very useful. Alright, and we've also got the auras. Really the only ones that you are going to be looking at are Devotion, if no one's bringing that buff, Concentration, if you're getting a lot of pushback, or more realistically, Resistance Aura. Alright, now getting down into the actual gameplay of a Holy Paladin. Judgment is your friend. If you have Seal of Insight up, every time you judge, you will get a certain amount of mana back. See right there, I got 3.5k, and it also gave me a buff from my talents that increases my casting speed by 9%. I got a power aura up that lets me know every time that comes off cooldown, so I can just keep judging, and you will actually regenerate mana that way. Judgment only costs 1.1k, and I'm getting 3.5k each time. Alright, the seal you should be using, as I said, is Seal of Insight. And if you really feel like it, you can actually get up and melee something, and when you do, you have a chance to recover 4% of your base mana, 900 for me. You should be giving yourself Kings unless you're having real mana problems, then go with Might for the MP5. Like I said, Resistance Aura is good. Now then, Glyphs. You've got some choices actually. For Prime, there is Divine Favor, which gives you 10% more, or 10 seconds more on the duration of it, bringing it up to 30 seconds. There's Holy Shock, gives you 5% chance to get a crit on Holy Shock. Seal of Insight, while you have Seal of Insight up, your heals are increased by 5%. And Word of Glory increases the healing done by Word of Glory by 10%. All pretty good choices. Word of Glory and Seal of Insight are pretty obvious, and it's a personal choice between the Glyph of Holy Shock and Glyph of Divine Favor. It depends on how often you find yourself using Divine Favor. In a raid setting, you're probably going to go with that one. For our major glyphs, we've got Beacon. Beacon of Light no longer costs mana. Cleansing reduces the mana cost of Cleanse by 20%. Seal of Insight. No, I'm looking at the wrong thing. No, ignore that. Divine Protection is good for some fights, like Neff. You no longer reduce physical damage with Divine Protection, but it will stack up 40% reduced damage from magic, so that's pretty nice on a magic fight. Glyph Divine Plea is pretty much mandatory. Glyph of Divinity, pretty much mandatory. 10% mana, that makes your Divine Plea a lot more worthwhile. Lay on Hands reduces the cooldown by 3 minutes. Light of Dawn is necessary for raiding. Light of Dawn can affect one additional target. Long Word, was some debate on this, but pretty much there's no point for Paladins to have a hot, and that's what this does. Word of Glory heals for 50% less up front, provides that over 6 seconds. Pointless. Completely pointless, especially when you consider our mastery. And nobody gives a shit about minor glyphs. Now, looking at talents, that's useless, so we'll just go straight into Protector of Innocent. Anytime you cast a targeted heal on anyone except yourself, you get healed for a certain amount. It is quite a lot, actually. You'll never have to worry about healing yourself with that. Judgment of the Pure, anytime I judge, you get 9% casting haste. Clarity of Purpose reduces the cast time of all your cast healing spells. Last Word, I'm only putting 1 point in that, most people do. It gives your Word of Glory a 30% increased crit chance when used on targets less than 35% health. There's a reason for that. We just need those talent points somewhere else, and it's just not something that comes into play all that often. Divine Favor, obviously. Fusion of Light. Daybreak. I only put 1 point in Light and Judgments because I have enough Spirit that I'm actually hit capped with only 50% hit rating from Spirit. It also gives your Judgment 5 more yards and gives you a heal whenever you judge. And that heal does get transferred through Beacon. Beacon is amazing. Speed of Light gives you free spell haste. Makes your Holy Radiance useful. And gives you a movement speed buff whenever you Holy Radiance or Divine Protection. Spec into Cleansing. Conviction is pretty good. When you have that stacked up all the way, you get a 9% bonus to healing. Aura Mastery. Paragon of Virtue is more optional. I like to take it though. It brings the cooldown of Avenging Wrath down from 3 minutes to 2 minutes. Tower of Radiance is mandatory. Anytime you put a cast heal, except for Holy Light, on a beacon target, like let's say you cast Divine Light on your beacon target, you'll generate a charge of Holy Power. Blessed Life, a lot of people skip this talent for PvE. I like to take it just because there's so many fights where you're taking direct damage that will proc this. Betalak absolutely comes to mind. Healing the tank on top, you will just get so much Holy Power out of that talent. Light of Dawn is very nice. Eternal Glory, very nice proc. 30% chance for Word of Glory not to consume Holy Power, so you can actually chain cast it a couple times. Divinity is just free extra healing. Crusade gives you 30% more healing to Holy Shock. And Improved Judgments just gives you judgment range, so you don't have to quite be stacking up with the melee. That is all quite good and well. Anyways, your primary stats: Intellect, Spirit, Haste, Crit, and Mastery. Obviously, Intellect is your best. You want to get Spirit to a certain amount that you're comfortable with. It changes from person to person. Me, it's around 2.5k. Haste is by far the best secondary stat for Paladin. There's no break points that you need to worry about like with a Druid. You just stack Haste. After that, Crit and Mastery are more or less tied. Holy Paladin Mastery is every time you directly heal someone, which means no Holy Radiance, and heal of Beacon is not included. Anytime you actually cast a heal on someone, you place an Absorb Shield on your target for 14% of the amount healed, lasting 15 seconds. You can see there, Illuminated Healing from 1 Holy Shock. I only got about a 1000 Absorb. Mastery is not very powerful for Holy Paladins unless you're specifically tank healing in a 25-man, but you're not. So, Crit is actually quite a good talent for us because it procs so much stuff. Infusion of Light procs from Crit. so that when your Holy Shock crits, you get a really, really short cast time on your next Holy Light or Divine Light, and you get actually an instant flash of light. It procs up Conviction, which gives you free healing and whatnot. And, alright, let me see what I got next. I think that is more or less it. And then we just gotta go into the actual gameplay and thoughts of being a Holy Paladin. So basically, you want to make sure that you always have your beacon active. They graced us with a 5-minute beacon. It used to be something like 90 seconds, and that was miserable. But make sure that you're tracking Beacon of Light. It usually shows up on my heal bot, so that you don't let that fall off on your tank. You want to try to keep your Judgment on cooldown as close as you can, and you want to keep Holy Shock on cooldown. When you're not Holy Shocking, you just Holy Light. Try not to do Holy Light directly on your beacon target, because Holy Light actually gets transferred 100% through the beacon, which means that if you're healing the DPS warrior and you hit him for 10k with your Holy Light, it'll go 10k onto your beacon target, the feral tank. So yeah, try to heal someone else with your Holy Light. All the other spells, though, only get transferred 50% through beacon. It's been nerfed from what it used to be back in Wrath, but it's still quite powerful. So, you should have a good add-on, some way to track your holy power. You can see there that I've got 2 built up. Let that off with a Word of Glory. Make sure you got Light of Dawn bound somewhere nice. And you can see, since I've beaconed myself, if I Divine Light myself, thanks to Tower of Radiance, that generates holy power. That can be very useful in a pinch, though you should rely primarily on Holy Shock for your holy power generation. Keep an eye out for Daybreak procs. Flash of Light, Holy Light, and Divine Light have a 20% chance to make your next Holy Shock not trigger a cooldown. That's awesome. You can just double tap Holy Shock. You get 2 charges of holy power. Boingo, boingo. When you get a crit from Holy Shock, like I said, your next Holy Light, Divine Light will have a short cast time. Flash of Light will be instant. And of course, I'm probably not going to get... There's a Daybreak proc, and there's an Infusion of Light. You can see I've only got a 0.9 Divine. And yeah, I think, until I can think of something else, I'm pretty sure that more or less covers it. You just want to try to heal the melee with Holy Light and whatnot, instead of healing your beacon directly. You know, throw Divine or Holy Shocks directly onto your tank, but Holy Lights onto melee so that you get that replay value. And don't be afraid to pop cooldowns as a Paladin. You have so many cooldowns, so many. You can save your tank from the brink of death with Lay on Hands, or even an emergency Hand of Protection, though that'll make him drop aggro and that'll probably kill someone else. But yes, I will conclude this for now.